tell them, picture me perfect, then picture me irrelevant, then picture I've been close to hell and then back again.
Right? It's just unconscionable. That could have been one of my children. And so I'm on the phone 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They had the North Police calling 911. 911 number was ringing for 45 seconds. I'm like what is going on? And then finally, well, are you still there at the scene? What's happening? I said, no, I drove by the scene, but I want an ambulance to come and see what's going on. And that is the kind of lack of services and disrespect that I see that we have in this field. Crime has been off the hook. I'm an elected school board member. Our schools in the South Ward have been closed, right? We don't have many opportunities or options. We're trying to get Weequay, I'm a Weequay alumni, back to where it used to be. We're trying to get George Washington Carver stronger, right? The Maples are sold, they're gone. Look at Chancellor Avenue, Chancellor Annex, Heshon, Avon Avenue, right? Belmont Runyon, Shabazz. This is the mighty South Ward, and it's time that we bring the kind of leadership that puts the mighty back into the ward, that puts the priorities back into the ward. That right? That's what we need. And it is not about someone's legacy. It is about the time is now to save our children, save our senior citizens, right? You are 100% of the future. You raise your hand, right? She is 100% of the future. And if we continue down this path, the South Ward, and a lot of us who are homeowners, who have a lot vested in this ward, we're just going to be rolled over. We know the wave is coming. The only way we can push that wave back is by electing Terrence Bankston to be the next South Ward. South Ward.
It's time for a change. I just finished canvassing. First of all, I canvass every day. And I'm probably one of the only candidates running for South Ward that has covered, I'll just say it, I'm the only candidate running for South Ward that has canvassed this entire ward twice. Why is that important? Because we're running against a name. My new piece says leadership, my slogan or tagline is leadership versus legacy. And we have a councilman here who, one, has been dodging a debate. We've never had in the history of me growing up here a council person, and we talking about John James. We had Congressman Payne serve as South Ward. He did not think a debate or a forum was beneath him. We had Sharp James, the greatest politician ever. He did not think that a debate or a forum was beneath him. How can a councilman who's been absent for 4 years, who was ineffective as at-large council person for an additional 2 years, so we're talking 6 years total, how can he tell residents, after being silent, after being absent, and the number one job of any politician, any elected official is to be present. Not perfect, but present. How can he do all of this, treat this ward the way he has, with the lack of disregard and respect for 4 years, and then tell you he's not going to debate? Because he considers himself a veteran. Being in the armed services, both my grandfathers was, that's not transferable and make you a great or beyond accountable elected official. So that logic bothers me in this era, that we have elected officials like John and we have his counterparts, including the mayor, who says that this is okay. That's why they're supporting him. They're saying that, or suggesting to us, that the South Ward deserves this type of leadership, and I'm saying it doesn't. But let me explain something else. Regardless of what ward I'm going to, what ward I'm running for, there is an incentive for residents worldwide to be engaged and invested. Because wherever the South Ward goes, the rest of the city goes. And so while the mayor may be saying that, and he's running for mayor, so he's saying crime is down the lowest it's ever been, murders are down the lowest it's ever been. That is something that he's quantifying citywide. That is not what's going on in the the South Ward. In the South Ward, we are the highest in foreclosures in the county. And the councilman has not held one workshop about loan modifications, not one workshop about how do you save your home, nothing. That's not a partner. That's representation without, that's taxation without representation. We're not asking him to pay your mortgage. We're asking him to be compassionate. We're asking him to show leadership. And so murders are up 300% in the South Ward and growing, because it was 300% back in February. And you already know how many shootings. We had 2 this week. One mother, Bergen Street, lost both her sons in one situation, one circumstance. And so those kind of folks don't want to hear crime is down. That's not what we feel, and that's not what we see. But most importantly, that's not what's occurring in the South Ward. And so most of those murders are also being committed by residents, black men under the age of 24 years old. So when we talk about 10 closed public schools just in the South Ward alone, we can understand how that perpetuates crime. How that begins to plant the seeds for more generations to be lost to crime. He said these kids need something to do. If they're just allowed to hang around, they're going to get into trouble. He said, I don't see cops moving them along. I don't see cops engaging with them, asking them, hey, why are you hanging out here? Let's keep it moving. And there was something to be said about that. Because when you look at Bergen Street and all the dilapidated buildings for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks, and not just Bergen Street, but Madison Avenue. Look, I'm looking good there. Madison Avenue. And Deputy Campaign Manager Al Therese Frazier, also a parent organizer, and we call him the governor because he organized and trains parents statewide. So we appreciate and thank him for his leadership and definitely his presence here today. And so back to Bergen Street, our core business corridors. You know, I remember a time when we were treated like South Orange was treated. We were regarded in that way in the South Ward. When they talk about Upper Clinton Hill, it wasn't just a name, it was a place to be, a place you wanted to go to. When they talk live, and when you talked about Weekway section, well, Mildred Crump say 40 years, 50, 60 years ago when she came to North, she came because of Weekway High School. And so now we got families that are leaving because our schools are not good quality. We got folks not willing to come to this city with families because our schools are not good quality. In the South Ward, you're talking about 5, maybe a handful of schools that are left. When I went to these different schools over the past 2-3 months, they're saying the councilman hasn't been there. Now we went from the ward with the most schools to now probably the least amount of schools, and you still don't have time. Well, this goes to the fact that he works full-time at the County of Essex. And he's gonna say, well, a need will do too. But I'm gonna say, look at Mount Prospect and look at Bergen Street. What is the disconnect between black leadership and black businesses in our community? Or sustainable businesses, period, whether you're black or not. What is the disconnect? I'm suggesting that it's laziness. I'm suggesting that politicians for too long here will help black entrepreneurs open businesses, but not in the correct way. And then when they wouldn't support them politically, or when they will fall out politically, Barry, they would then shut them down because they knew where their weaknesses were. That's not teaching. That's not leadership. We got to get out of business of trying to control the school board and control every elected official. Because when we look at the black leadership in this town, and it's important because this is a black town, a lot of culture and a lot of history, and if we don't preserve it and we're not proud of it, we lose it. Some people don't want to, and I'm not hating on this, I'm not mad at it at all. So when that $1 billion budget comes, they didn't come to you and ask you who you wanted for school board president. They didn't come to get your thought about that. The people that's the school board president now, how many times has she come over here and talked to us about our 10 closed schools? See, we help these folks get elected from across town, and they don't come back here until it's time to get re-elected again. And some of these black politicians scared to say it, I'm not. Because it's my baby that's life is at stake. It's your child life is at stake. It's my mortgage and my house I'm fighting for. I can't speak for the folks over there in the North Ward and the 40-year history and legacy that they have over there. I'm talking about the legacy that we have here. Our legacy in the South Ward should be leadership. We should be the driving force behind the city. Do you understand that the Central Ward is performing better than the South Ward? And we were ahead of the South Ward for years. We have more affordable and public housing in the South Ward than the Central Ward. And I'm not talking about buildings, I'm talking about Section 8 vouchers in homes. So your atmosphere has changed. said 75%, let's call it 80. 80% of folks are renters. So when you talk about this illusionary zoning versus inclusionary zoning, these politicians like our councilperson, he's in bed with the developers. He favors the developers more than the people and more than the children. That's why he doesn't have conversations with us about the real issues that are affecting us. More importantly, that's why he's disconnected. He's saying that if we get married, all of us, that's our problem. We're losing our houses because we're not married. He said that on the record. Somebody that's not married. Somebody working on his third pension. Somebody with 2 government jobs. One is part-time as South Ward councilman, and another thing, this is his second job, not the first. The first is the full-time administrative job at the County of Essex that we still don't know his job description. We still don't know what he does. We still don't know why that role is more important than what's going on in the South Ward. We still don't understand what is he doing that he's so busy up there that quality of life is not a priority here in the South Ward on a daily basis. Voting for folks to get their legal fees paid in an unprecedented way, and yet we don't have any quality senior services here in the South Ward. We don't have any quality youth services here in the South Ward. How does he ride up Madison Avenue to his condo, to his home, after leaving Pomona in that condo building and see all of our young boys out here strung out on pills and drugs, and you just keep riding around in your MG? He can pay people to drop literature for him, but he hasn't knocked on our doors. He hasn't canvassed our community. Kip, New Jersey, Life Academy, or the Old Bagor, where we still have many community kids go there because they had first choice selection to choose to go there or not. But we also have families from all over this city that travel there. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago in the paper, you can Google it. A car ran up on the sidewalk because the sheriff officer was chasing them through our streets. How many times we got to tell them in our community that's not allowed to pursue vehicles in our community? Why they keep forgetting that when they're in our community? They don't forget it in Short Hills, they don't forget it in South Orange, they don't forget it there. So they run up on the sidewalk and almost hit staff and students. This was during dismissal. Several emails sent to the councilman. Several notices from parents went there, and it's documented, so he can't deny it. He was non-responsive. So he said he doesn't care about our schools. He said he doesn't care about our seniors. Madison Avenue, the gate has been broken pretty much his whole term. No camera, pretty much his whole term. They keep writing letters. They keep calling. He doesn't show up. They were robbed 2 days in a row. A Friday and a Saturday. Someone breaks into, right from that community, breaks into their front door, go right through the gate, snatch open this gate area that's under and crawls in. All throughout the night, it took hours, pretty much the next morning, for police to show up. 10-4 Evans gets out of her bed on Osborne Terrace and goes down to Madison Avenue, and there's a bunch of seniors, mostly women, policing their building throughout the night, waiting for police. No call from the councilman, no text from the councilman. He did not visit. He came that Monday. Now, the first Monday they have their community meetings. It starts at 6 o'clock. He got there at 7 because he heard we were doing a 7 o'clock dinner there. That's the only reason why he showed up. If I'm councilman, I'm there Saturday morning. If I'm councilman, when I heard about it Friday night, I'm texting the captain, what's going on? Get somebody over there now, I want to update. But he's too busy hanging out at the bars over there in the North Ward. He's not even hanging out in his own community. He's disconnected. He said back to the marriage, the foreclosure, he said $80,000, you can afford a home. There was just a national assessment that was done that said in the state of New Jersey that if you make $84,000, you can't afford a mortgage anywhere in the state. Our councilman is not connected to our issues. He doesn't. So that's what you got to tell people in the next 11 days. Why? Start with he doesn't care. How do you know that? He showed you. He showed you. We have never had such a pathetic, and I'm saying that, council person in terms of leadership. I'm not talking about a person, I'm talking about the leader. And he works for us. I'm a taxpayer. I got a right to say his name. I got a right to hold him accountable. How many folks are parents in here? John isn't a parent. And I'm not saying that you have to be a parent. I'm just saying in a world that is community-oriented, family-oriented, that's how I grew up. That ain't what I made up. I'm just suggesting that maybe you gotta be a parent to feel like a parent. I'm suggesting that maybe you gotta be a parent that when you hear 4 schools closed, that you say, well, wait a minute, Don't blame, you talking about it was Cammie Anderson and it was this one. No, it was No Child Left Behind, and it was the black leadership here that allowed the school system to fail.
That's right.
That's why it's not about the boogeyman that you allow to come in every now and then. But most importantly, he's just sounding on, he's not engaged and he's not available. And he hasn't proven to us that he can do both. And when we look at the examples, we are not the North Ward. When you look at Amador's Ward, East Ward, Ferry Street, do we have any business corridor in the South Ward that looks like Ferry Street, that thrives like it? You want to know the difference? Our councilman doesn't try to sell our ward. You got to have pride for the South Ward to sell it. He don't have that. John didn't grow up like Baraka and myself and Kim Gaddies. Wasn't community organizing, he was on jet skis. It's in his pamphlet if you haven't seen it. That's how there's nothing wrong with that. But if the seeds of humility, of civic engagement and civic responsibility are not planted in you, it's just not in you. Y'all saw the Menendez brothers, right? That movie? Sometimes it's just not in you. You're not your father. And what we've done is that instead of the attack being on his dad and that being a family affair, the attack is on the South Ward. John said, I'm in here, I'm entitled to it. My name was changed in 2005 to J. Sharp James so it can appear on the ballot just like my father's. And I know that you folks are ignorant enough and you'll just let me sit there and collect the third picture. You'll let me collect $85,000 a year for a part-time job, and I don't have to show up. I don't have to be accountable. I can write my daddy's name on one side of history and I can ride the mayor's coattail on the other side, and I don't have to produce anything. That's a bad example for our children. That's a bad example for young men. That's a bad example for me, council people. He's an embarrassment to the South Ward. That's why I'm running. I'm not running for entitlement. I'm running because it's necessary. I'm not running because of who my daddy is. I'm running because I am a daddy. And I'm fighting for your kids and my kids. I'm saying that you've allowed every political son in this ward to have an opportunity. I'm saying I'm not one. I don't represent legacy. My legacy will be leadership. Donald Payne Jr. Sr. was South Ward councilman. And now we have John James. That's not, we fell off. That's how they say it, right? In the streets. We fell off. We gotta pick ourselves up. And so John told my father yesterday, he took a selfie with him on Bergen Street. He said, your son keeps picking on me. For $85,000 a year, you will be picked on.
All right.
For the gas you spend on your MG to ride over to the North Ward, you will be picked on. For the benefits and health benefits and everything else you got, you will be picked on them. We got to start picking on politicians. You want to know why? Because y'all treat them like royalty. And they don't deserve it. Respect is earned. Legacy is something that's willed. It's a fortune. If he's not his father, how does he get the ride? His father put in work. You might, even if you didn't like it, you disagree on things. That man was a worker. That man was a genius. So, if he's not meeting the standard or rising to the occasion or above it, how come we are allowing him to just sell off his father's name?
That's right.
It's over.
That's right.
I need you to tell South Ward voters, and so I want to unite parents. I want to offer them training that puts policy before politics, but I want to teach them politics too. Because politics drives how we vote here. You can't circumvent the political culture here. You got to go through it. And whether you want to change it or impact it, you got to go through it. You can't go around it. Cory Booker learned that. You can't go around it. You got to face it. And I'm willing to face it. And so one of the things is, in terms of restructuring the ward, is if folks get nonprofit if nonprofits get community funding from the city, if I have to vote on it, there's going to be a metrics attached to that. A metrics that was assessed based on what's going on right now, not when you started your nonprofit 20, 30 years ago. And you keep reproducing that same grant because you know the people won't give you the same money. No, we're going to expect something from you. I'm not going to say adopt a block. I'm going to say partner. Not with a block of the ward, with a region. And we're going to, and a second tier to that would be quarterly leadership meetings I have. Anybody from senators, U.S., state, to to assembly people, anybody who comes to the South Ward for a vote, school board people, you gotta come talk to us. You can't just talk to the political godfathers and the mayors and the this and that. You gotta come talk to us. And when you talk to us, we're gonna hold you accountable. And so those folks, whether it's Cory Book or whatever, they gotta send somebody or gotta come themselves. We're meeting every quarter. And I'm gonna share with you the feedback I got from my advisory council about what's going on around the ward. When I share that, you'll tell me some things that you say, oh, you know what, this resource is here, this resource is there. I'll have the legislative aides actually doing legislative aid type work instead of just driving me around and going to pick up my coffee that I don't drink or doing a bunch of silly things like that. I'm going to have them actually legislating, so they'll be taking notes on what we need to do to follow up, what memo we may need to write if we can perhaps apply for it or apply for the resources on behalf of the city ourselves. Whatever way it needs to get done, we're going to track and trace it all the way to the end. And so no one will be able to say that they got elected by a South Ward base that you didn't know. And my staff won't be able to say we didn't know. Our council people are responsive. That's why they're behind the lead water. Kim Gaddy, I was canvassing about water last summer. A month after it hit, we were door to door with a whole pamphlet representing two organizations, not just Clean Water Action, but also representing the Green Party. What's going to change is that we're going to be on top of all those issues. I'm not going to just be the councilman that's talking about turkeys and toys and crime, and I'll get back to the mayor. No, we're going to talk about the environmental injustices.
You know, his father's pushing it up because they're going to push him to run for mayor. I said, oh, give me a break.
So let me tell you that. That's the other political thing.
I heard that.
This is connected to.
He ain't no mayor, but
Do not sleep. All hands are on deck. My name is Terrence L. Bankston. I'm a candidate for South Ward Councilman here in the city of Newark. I am also line C1, the first on the ballot, so it's easy to find me this time. And
The rain soon coming on. Like Jay, I made the next move already. Tell Booker I'm good, I'm connected already. They wanna know my thoughts on the rhetoric. I figure if a hater gon' hate, then my thoughts on them are irrelevant.
Hi, my name is Terrence L. Bankston. I